Hello my dear students, in this lecture we are talking about rotational motion. Okay. Motion we can divide into different category. Okay. What is meaning of motion? Okay. The meaning of motion is when any body changing their position, with respect to time, it is called motion. And the motion can divide into different categories. First category is translatory motion or linear motion. First category is translatory motion. Okay. Also it is called as linear motion. Okay. First category is, so to understand the concept of translatory motion, what we have to do? We have to understand the motion of any body in which all particles of body, you can see all particles of body, let us consider particle A, B, C, moves on same path, will move on same path. This type of motion is called translatory motion. Like a ball, if you are throwing a ball, then the center of ball, any point on the circumference on ball will move on same path. Okay, on same path. This type of motion is called translatory motion. When each particle moves on same path, it is called translatory motion or linear motion. Okay. Now, what is meaning of this linear motion or translatory motion? Again we can divide into two category. One is rectilinear motion. Okay. And other is curvilinear motion. Okay. Rectilinear motion and curvilinear. Okay. So what is meaning of rectilinear motion? In rectilinear motion, if particle move on a straight line, it is called rectilinear motion. If particle or body, okay, or any object move on a straight line, if particle moves on a straight line, okay, it is called rectilinear motion. We can take so many examples like that. If you are firing a bullet, okay, in free space, then what will happen? Bullet will move on a straight line. This type of motion is called rectilinear motion. Okay. If train is moving on a straight path, a straight track, it is rectilinear motion. If your car is moving on a straight road, it is rectilinear motion. So we can take so many examples in rectilinear motion. But what is meaning of curvilinear motion? Okay, when particle moves on, curvilinear motion, curve path. Sorry, it is curve path. So what is meaning of curvilinear motion? When particle moves on curve path, like if you are throwing a stone with some angle with horizontal, okay, at some angle with horizontal like that, it is called projectile motion, you know very well. It is the projectile motion. So it is the curved path of the stone. It is called curvilinear motion. Like circular motion, all the planets revolving around the earth, around the sun on circular path, it is the curvilinear motion. Okay. You are throwing a flying wheel, okay, so it is the curvilinear motion. Is this clear to all of you? So we can divide motion into different categories. So first category is translatory motion or linear motion, and linear motion further can divide into two categories, rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. So what is translatory motion? In translatory motion, each particle moving on same path are moving on same path, this type of motion is called translatory motion. Okay. So, in translatory motion we consider all object, all the points concentrated on a single point. We will not study the whole object, motion of each particle, we will study only a single particle, because each particle are moving on same path, moving on same shape of path. Okay. So, it is the center of mass. We consider whole object concentrated at the point. So, some points we have to remember regarding translatory motion. First point, translatory motion or linear motion. First point, we consider object or body as a single point mass. Okay. We consider object as a point mass, okay, which is, or you can say whole body we consider object as a point mass, and which point it is the center of mass of the body. Okay. What is the point? It is the center of mass of body. Okay. Which point? It is the center of mass of the body. Okay. Now we study only center of mass of body. Okay. Center of mass of body. Okay. No need to study each point, only the center of mass is sufficient. So, according to the motion of center of mass, we can further divide motion into two categories. One is translatory motion. If center of mass is moving off in the body, it is the translatory motion. If center of mass is not moving and body is rotating, okay, body is rotating about any axis which is passing through the center of mass, because axis is not moving. Okay. Body is rotating about any axis which is passing through the center of mass, it is called rotational motion. So, the second category of motion is the rotational motion. Okay. If center of mass is moving, it is translatory motion. If center of mass is not moving and body is performing rotational motion, body is rotating about any axis passing through the center of mass. In this case, center of mass is not moving, like motion of fan. Center of mass remain stationary and whole fan is moving, blades are moving around the axis which is passing to the center of mass. So, it is the rotational motion. Okay. So, we can differentiate the translatory motion and rotational motion according to motion of center of mass. So, all these points we have to remember and we have to write down also. So, write it down. So, the next category of motion is rotational motion. Rotational motion. What is meaning of rotational motion? Already we have covered. When body rotating about any axis passing through center of mass, it is called rotational motion. Let us consider a body. It is the center of mass and whole body is rotating like that. Okay. And this axis is called axis of rotation, and also called as centroidal axis. Also called as centroidal axis. Now, when this body is rotating, each particle is rotating, okay, about the same axis, is called rotational motion. In this case, center of mass remains stationary. Okay. So, some point we have to remember. First point is that when center of mass, CA means center of mass is moving is called translatory motion or linear motion. Translatory motion or linear motion. Translatory motion or linear motion. Okay, no need to write definition of rotational motion again. It is very simple. When body is rotating about any axis passing to the center of mass, in rotational motion center of mass remains stationary. In rotational motion center of mass remain stationary. Okay, center of mass remain stationary. So all these points you have to remember regarding rotational motion. So it is the concept of rotational motion.